Hi everyone, welcome. If you're new here, I am Chaitanya. You're watching Chai with Chaitanya, and this is a place where I talk about books, movies, and fandom. So let's get started. So, the book that I will be talking to you guys today is Malorie Blackman's Boys Don't Cry, and I had no clue in the world that it existed. And I would have not found this book if I was not one day just randomly scrolling down Amazon India and adding the books that I want on my wish list. And this book just sort of popped up in my recommendation. And I happened to click on it because the title, which is Boys Don't Cry, is a phrase that I've heard so many times growing up in India, from mental health therapists, from forums and discussions surrounding how we need to create a safer space for men so that we can break down the toxic masculinity that exists in the society. So it just caught my attention, and also the cover, so I went ahead and checked. And I just quickly went through the synopsis which was given for the book description, and I instantly went ahead and bought this book. And to be honest, I don't buy books without looking at the reviews until unless it's by an author that I truly have read other books from, like let's say Adam Silvera or Rainbow Rowell, or anybody of those sorts of authors, the authors that we all like. We all have those favorites. So this was just like a experimental thing that I did, and I am so glad that I picked this book up because trust me when I say this, I did not find this book on anywhere on my bookstagram, the people that I follow or the people who engage with me. I don't think anybody has read it. And in fact, I even conducted a poll, and there were like 0% on the people who even had heard of this book. So this is truly an underrated piece of work which I think needs to be out there because it's really amazing. So before I go ahead and talk to you about the plot, I would quickly want to ask all of you that have you guys also picked up a book which you had no clue about, and if you did, then how was the book? So if you really like that book, so please do let me know in the comments so that I can go and check these books out, because I love exploring underrated titles which aren't very famous or getting all the hype, and sometimes like good books get so much of hype that they become overhyped. So I would love to go and pick a book which is not that hype but it's really good, and I would try my best to hype it up a little bit from my end. And now going and talking about this book, about the plot, and I would try to keep this as non-spoilery as possible. In fact, I would not be giving you like the proper very detailed synopsis. I would try to keep it as minimal as possible because I think that this book is truly well received when you experience it, when you read it for yourself, versus you watch somebody talking about it or you read a review, because there's a lot of emotions in this book. And I think that and we follow Adam and Dante in this story. Adam is the younger brother, he's 15 or 16 years old, whereas Dante is the elder one, he is 17 years old. So we begin the story in this point where Dante is waiting for his school results to come in, and these results will determine his future. So he's naturally very excited, and yet at the same time he's very nervous. So when the doorbell rings, he thinks that the postman is here and that he will get his results and he will get to know what is happening. But it ends up that his ex-girlfriend, who he happened to have a one-night stand with a very long time ago, is standing there with a toddler, and Dante just doesn't know that what is happening. Very soon enough, Melanie tells Dante that the toddler is Emma and that she is his daughter. And obviously this news isn't taken very well because again Dante is just 17 years old, if you remember. And meanwhile, we also follow Adam and Dante's dad, who has taken Adam to the hospital to get him ruled out for the headaches that he's been having, because it's quite continuous and he's been having them for quite some time now. So when they come home, they spot the baby, and when Dante reveals to them that he is the dad, obviously things completely change for the entire family. And while it's not very easy, and it probably never is with a baby, but you still see the family, all these three people sort of coming together and trying their best to help each other out, but at the same time they also have their own lives and their own conflicts and their own problems that they're dealing with. So Adam and Dante's dad is obviously, he's dealing with the loss of his wife, and whereas Adam, on the other hand, he's a homosexual, so he identifies as a proud gay man, and he's out and he's open, and he wants to become an actor, and he pursues theater quite seriously. So you also get to see how somebody who believes in himself, and how somebody who chooses to live the way he wants to live, and how he sort of has this experience with other people, basically to do with homophobia and bullying, and how it completely changes him to an extent where he cannot even go out of his own room. And then again he finds his way back to himself in one way or the other. And that's just what I would give you. And I know I've kept it very ambiguous, and you might not really have a very clear picture in your head, but I think that is just the beauty of it, as I said at the beginning of this video, because this book truly is a roller coaster ride, because every single character in here has so much to offer in terms of understanding, and in terms of emotions, and in terms of where they come from and where they go, and everything else in between. So now a couple of reasons why I really enjoyed this book, and maybe these reasons can be the reason why you choose to pick it up. So the first one would be the fact that I have read a lot of books in literature which has to do with family and fatherhood, and just interpersonal relationships in general, but rarely have I come across a book which has dealt with fatherhood, brotherhood, and just family in general in the way Malorie has handled in here. Because how often do you come across books or even films which have young parents? And while you might feel, and you might also agree with me with this view, that I feel that you shouldn't really become a parent, because it's not something that that should be promoted, because obviously you should try to have kids, or even if you're like having them of your own, or if you're having you're adopting them or you're fostering them, you should only have it when you are financially independent, and when you know that you can take care of another person besides yourself. So even though this isn't something which is which is out there, which needs to be popularized, but at the same time, the way it's handled here, it just gives you a very positive picture, because there are so many people out there who probably are in the similar circumstance. And while I can understand that not everyone wants to be in this circumstance, but yet most people choose to ignore their babies, and they choose to just leave them, or mistreat them, or become emotionally unavailable. And while all of that is also there in this book, it also shows you the journey, and the power of love, the power of what a small and an innocent life can do to adults whose life have otherwise gone absolutely sad and monotonous ever since Adam and Dante's mom died. Now, second reason why I like this book and why you can pick this up has to do with the writing style. I think that the writing is extremely simple, and the book was such a quick read. I am not a person who reads books very quickly, but I finished this book in 2 days, which is probably the fastest that I've read. And this is like barely 256 or 95 pages, like less than 300 pages. And it's a breezy read. I think anybody who picks it up, and if you are like a fast reader, you can finish this book in one sitting. And the third reason why I would want you to pick this book up is because it's such an underrated book, and it's a book that I think a lot of people just do not know that it exists, like me. And once you actually discover it, and once you actually go through with it, you would really want to probably, if you have like a parent, or like if you have like a sibling, you would just want to hug them, because that is exactly what I did after this book ended. Now, there are some trigger warnings in this book at the same time, and obviously they are for parental abuse, parental neglect. It is for addiction, gambling, bullying, homophobia, and just a lot of hate in general, and judgments. So if these topics are triggering for you, then you should go into this with a little bit of caution. But otherwise, I think for most people, this book is just a very true record of what humans are. I mean, what we are. The second thing that I really liked about this book was the writing style. It was very simple, and yet it was very effective. At no point did I feel that it's getting too heavy, even though there are very heavy things in the second part, like second half of the book. But I happen to read it quite quickly, which isn't really a case most of the time, because most people who know me would know that I am not a fast reader, and I breezed through this book in like 2 days, which is like really less for me. And besides that, there are obviously some trigger warnings, and those are pretty obvious um, because of the kind of content that this book deals with. And so there are trigger warnings for parental neglect, parental abuse, for gambling, for addiction, for bullying, for homophobia, and for hate and judgments just in general towards people who have young, who become young parents and who have children at a younger age, and just all of those things in general. So if you are someone who is struggling, or is very easily triggered by all of these things, then you are to head into this book with a little bit of caution. And besides that, I think that you should pick this book up, because as I said, it's a very underrated book, and it's a beautiful story at its heart. And it teaches you a lot about life. It teaches you a lot about how that life is going to keep throwing you lemons, and how you have to try and make the best possible resembling lemonade that you can. So when I first got into this book, I thought that this is going to be a book about Dante and his daughter, where Dante would first, not accept her, but eventually, we'll see them grow up, and we'll see how their lives turn out to be, and just the whole journey in general. But Malorie has done something absolutely different. What she does is that she has not given you the future. You don't see them growing up beyond a year. You just see them in the present, and you keep following them in the present. You see how Dante, day by day, from someone who absolutely straight up rejected to accept his daughter, somehow grows a little bit concerned, to protective, and to an extent where he would do anything for his daughter. And while he still feels all of those things, that he cannot go out, and he cannot live the life that he always wanted to live, or the kind of future that he thought for himself, it's not possible anymore, or he would have to take a different course which he doesn't want. So while all of those things are still there, what Malorie does is that she makes Dante realize the fact that that now that you have a daughter, you need to take care of her, and it's not about how well you take care of her, or it's not about how well you are at parenting, but it's just about what your intentions are and how much you're ready to put in the work. And so when Dante indeed puts in the work, you get to see this very bittersweet jigsaw kind of a puzzle at the end of the book, which I really appreciated. Also, another thing that I really liked about this book was the fact that how the title, which is Boys Don't Cry, has been like a central part of the story, because both Dante and to some extent Adam has this as their coping mechanism, that boys are not supposed to cry. Boys are supposed to, they are supposed to man up, and they are supposed to always stay strong. They are not supposed to express their emotions, and all of these they have somewhere or the other unconsciously they have picked up from their own father, who also struggles with this, and he also cannot express how he truly feels, his emotions out loud to both of his sons. And so this book also deals with all of this at a larger picture, and in minute and in the subplots. And I think that is what just adds to the whole experience, and it makes it a very emotional read. As I said, I had given this book a strong 5 stars, and I would really want you to pick this up, because I cannot recommend this book enough. I would be making sure that I soon pick up another Malorie Blackman book, because now that I've read Boys Don't Cry, I think I definitely want to check out other books from her. And that's about it. So if you like this video, do give it a thumbs up, because my channel is still new and I'm still trying to grow. If you can subscribe, then it's great. And you can always find me on my Bookstagram or on my WordPress, or you can write to me on my mail. All of those details will be down in the description box. And thank you. I will see you soon with another review. Bye.